My brother's wife, 28, comes from a wealthy family. Everyone in my family keeps asking her for favors, and at this point, she managed to dominate them except for me financially, 31 female, and my wheelchair user husband, 35 male. She's civil towards us though. Her birthday was a few days ago, and she decided to have it in an upscale restaurant and even gave out invitations. I received one, but it was only in my name. I called to ask her, and she said she only wanted women at the party for more freedom and fun. I informed my husband, and he said it was fine. He handed me the birthday gift he bought for her and asked me to give it to her. I got to the restaurant and was astonished as I approached the table to see my sister-in-law sitting along the wall with all the women in the family and their husbands. I kept mumbling, "What is happening here?" Dad and brother were there. I asked Mom what the deal was, and she just said, "Take a seat and we'll explain." I turned to my sister-in-law and asked why there were men at her party when she said only women. Mom spoke up again, telling me to sit down, but I told her to stay out of it and then demanded sister-in-law explain. Knowing that my husband is wheelchair-bound, she thought it'd be so much trouble to get him ready, find him proper transportation, accommodate him at the restaurant, etc. So she thought his presence wasn't necessary, but she couldn't openly tell me to leave him home, so she used this little white lie to get me to have a stress-free time instead of worrying about my husband. I got furious and told her to stop treating my husband as a burden and that she should have been upfront about her plan, adding that what she did was manipulative. I took the gift my husband got out of my bag and said this gift came from the man she excluded from her event and that I would return it. Then I walked out, got into an Uber, and went home. Mom visited, saying sister-in-law was a witch, but didn't think what I did was okay or tactful. She reminded me sister-in-law is the host, funder for the party, so I have no say in who's invited and who's not, and that I was free to turn and leave as soon as I discovered her lie, instead of making a scene. She also said it was just a pathetic ego-boosting party, so it's not like she excluded my husband from a wedding. I had to deal with my brother's anger, as he was livid and accused me of ruining his wife's birthday over one family member not being included. I said if she was up front, I wouldn't even have come, but she deceived me into thinking the party had women. He said I got it all wrong and should stop spoiling my husband since he's a big boy and could get over not being included in one event, and wants me to apologize to his wife, reminding me of what she's done to help our family. I let my husband know about what happened, and he stared at me in disbelief. Then he got quiet all of a sudden. He even refused to talk it out with me and said he needed to be alone for some time. I admit this behavior on my sister-in-law's part is not new, but my husband and I were still very hurt, no matter what her real intentions were. Sister-in-law is an idiot. Not only is it not her place to make this call, but she doesn't even care how upset it's made you. She knew it wasn't a reasonable request. Otherwise, she'd have been upfront about it. Being host/funder doesn't mean she can dictate the rest of your life. She wanted your husband absent and to be in a position of power when she told you. If everyone else is scared of upsetting her, that's their problem to deal with, not yours. Also, you did leave, and you made sure sister-in-law knew why you were leaving. The thing is, it starts as one event, then it's the next event, then it's leaving him out of group chats and Christmas stuff. They're trying to isolate him for some reason. Ableism. Your family is full of idiots, though, because no reasonable person should have remained at that table. I hope you and your husband have a happy time by yourselves, because I'm not sure you can trust the others. Oh, to the max. Tell your mom and anyone else who has a problem with your reaction to shove it, because her dishonesty appropriately earned her that response from you. You didn't ruin her birthday at all. She got exactly what she wanted, an event without your husband in attendance. And ask your brother how it spoils your husband to expect him to be treated with respect. I think it's ironic that your brother is telling you to stop spoiling your husband when he is so blatantly covering for his wife's behavior. I wouldn't apologize for anything, and I'd remain super angry in your shoes, OP. I, 38 female, have 3 kids. All 3 of my kids have friend groups and are dating. Twins have been dating the same people and have been friends with generally the same group since middle-late school. The youngest just recently got a girlfriend and only has one friend at the moment. My husband, 42, and I have always been fine with their partners and friends coming over as long as they shoot us a text first. Our only rule is that there is no bringing a new person over every single day. No staying up past 1 a.m. max. Recently, my husband has been trying to change our family dynamic a lot. Family breakfast and dinner instead of our usual grab and go to our room. Constant outings and game nights, etc. We have family time often, but not to this extent, 4 to 5 times a week now. Last week, he proposed the idea of a family meeting to me. We have never had one of these, never needed to. If something needs to change, we talk about it whenever we're all free. He discussed this with me in private. I told him I was not too fond of the idea. The meeting was supposed to be about how we no longer wanted our children to have company over and didn't want any outside kids in our house. All of my children have lovely friends. Some of them even offer to wash dishes after dinner. Kinda sweet. None of them are loud, messy, bad influences, etc. Maybe a few swears and inappropriate talk, but I chalk that up to them being teenagers. He asked me to keep this a secret, that it was mandatory, and he'd tell the kids the night before. I was angry. I also had to be forced to a family meeting because he refused to even budge about it being mandatory. So I ended up chatting to a friend about it over the phone. It turns out my youngest was listening in, and I told her about it since she asked. My twins then joined in. We all talked about it together and agreed it was a weird, unwanted change. Kids asked me to talk with him about it because they thought it was unfair that they all of a sudden couldn't have friends over for some unstated reason. I told my husband the full story. I also told him that everyone thought it was unnecessary for it to be a meeting and mandatory, that he should have just told us all up front if he had an issue with any friends, etc. Husband blew up about how this meeting was incredibly important, still refused to say why it was, and that we would all be coming whether we liked it or not, no matter what. The meeting is in 2 days. I don't want to blow my husband off, since this is apparently important fully, but since he refuses to tell us what the actual issue is, I want to take my kids out of the house for this appointed meeting, unless he tells me his issue with our children's company. I see no true point in it if all guests are respectful and haven't made trouble. I would say not the idiot, because this is a huge thing to blindside your kids with and is very controlling. This is just weird. Is he typically controlling or displaying any toxic behavior? It's odd that he's trying to alienate everyone in the family from the outside world, which could be concerning. Has he had a recent doctor's visit, health scare, death where he's taking family time more seriously? Just so many questions. Not the idiot. It seems like your husband is having issues with control within the family. Refusing to communicate unless at a time that he dictates, mandatory family time, taking up more of everyone's time, and refusing to allow his children's friends over. At an age where your children should be gaining, not losing independence, your husband is either taking a nasty, controlling turn, or hopefully is just struggling with his growing family and isn't adjusting well. Or he might be sick or something, and this meeting is how he wants to break the news to everyone. It just seems so out of the blue, and he suddenly wants to have a lot more family time and doesn't want outside people at the house. Maybe because he knows he's not going to be in good shape. I don't know, just really strange. For my whole life, I never knew who my biological father was. My mom and family have always been super secretive about it. However, recently my mom decided to tell me, as she felt I was old enough, teen, to know after I asked her. She sat me down in the living room and told me that my bio dad was her ex-stepfather, aka my grandmother's ex-husband. I felt extremely disgusted and disappointed at my mom and said to her, "No wonder Grandma hates being around you. You couldn't keep your legs closed long enough to keep away from my grandma's husband? I'm completely disgusted with you. I don't even know if I can look at you the same way." I said a lot of other stuff. I wasn't kind with my words. My mom cried and said, "I'm really sorry. My actions ended up hurting a lot of people. It's something I live with every day. Just know that my actions don't define you." I told my mom to save her words and went to my room. I never thought this would be the outcome. I felt grossed out and a little disgusted with myself. Everything honestly started making sense though. The way my grandmother acts around me, and how the only times I ever go to her house is on holidays when my younger siblings go to her house a lot more. There's always been this weird tension when my mom and grandma are alone in a room, or when they speak to each other. No one ever wanted to talk to me about my bio dad. My stepdad came into my room after a few hours and asked me how I was feeling and told me that he understood why I was upset and have every right to be, but that doesn't give me the right to speak to my mom the way I did. He said I should apologize and went on about how my mother sacrificed a lot for me and was always there for me when I needed her. This is true. My mom has always been an amazing mother, and from what I saw, a good person. I always felt loved by her. After my stepdad spoke to me, I started feeling really bad at how I spoke to my mom, but at the same time I feel like she deserved it because she betrayed my grandma. My mom was 19 when she got in a relationship with my bio dad, and my grandma was on the verge of divorce and living in a separate house at the time. So, am I the idiot for freaking out at my mom when I found out who my bio dad is? You are the idiot. Your mother was 19 years old, all of 3 years older than you are now, when a grown man, her stepfather, took advantage of her and got her pregnant. Think about that for a minute. Instead of realizing the amazing breach of trust and power imbalance involved in that particular relationship, and that your step-grandfather was a creep, you shamed your own mother and decided that she, at 19 years old, bears all of the responsibility here. I realize that you're only a child, but you have absolutely no empathy for the woman you claim has always been a good and loving mother to you. Get some therapy to help you process your feelings. I think you're hard on a kid who just received some seriously shocking news. Can you say with certainty that you wouldn't react poorly to receiving news that rocks your entire existence? I'm not going to criticize him for reacting poorly. He needs time to process this information. OP, remember that this doesn't change the fact that she's been an excellent mother to you. But unfortunately, she exercised terrible judgment when she was very young and had been paying a high price for that ever since. You are dealing with complicated emotions, and it will take some time for you to sort through them. Okay, I think people are a little hard on you. You're a literal child, and you found out something that rocked your world and hurt you deeply. So I'm going to give you a pass for saying some hurtful things and say you are. That being said, your stepdad is right. You owe your mom an apology. It does sound like your bio dad took advantage of her, and it sounds like she's making the best of a bad situation, from which she got something amazing, of course. Hug her, tell her you're sorry, and thank her for being a good mom. Then everyone can move forward in the truth. I have an older sister, 26, who lost 3 previous pregnancies. When she got pregnant for the 4th time, she moved back home with my parents, siblings, and me because she was pregnant and was super scared about losing this baby. Her only focus was being pregnant, so the rest of my siblings and I did everything for her. We cooked for her, we did all the shopping for the baby, basically made sure she had all her needs taken care of 24/7. I love my sister and niece, so I didn't mind it at all. I enjoyed it. Now the problem started when she had the baby a few months ago. She was living at home and had to share a room with my mom and the baby. The baby doesn't sleep and cries a lot through the night, meaning my mom and my sister couldn't sleep at night. My mom had to work during the day, so she was tired 24/7. One night the baby started crying, and my mom made a joke, "I guess I'm going to work tired again." My sister got offended and decided to move out. Since she's moved out, she's been complaining about getting no help at all, saying how none of us loves the baby since we won't help her. So she and my parents decided, and I agreed to move in with her to help with the baby more daily. I have school twice a week and homework, but other than that, I spend 24/7 helping take care of the baby, leaving me no time at all to myself. I have a small business that I run from my parents' house. Once my sister found out that I was making more money than her, she demanded that I pay part of the rent, food, bills, etc. Currently, I only buy what's needed around the house if we're short on something. She said since I've moved in, their bills and stuff have gotten higher, and I should be paying since I can afford it. I said no because, number one, I can stay with my parents, so I don't need to live with her and that I'm doing her a favor, not the other way around. Number two, I spend all my waking hours with the baby, and I don't get paid for it, nor do I want to, and paying for whatever increase in bills is a lot cheaper than hiring someone to take care of the baby for as many hours as I do. She was angry and went to our parents and other family members, saying that I was charging her for babysitting and that she can't afford to take care of me when she has a kid to worry about, and that I'm trying to make her go broke so that I can become rich. She asked my parents to make me pay her. My parents told me I should contribute since it wouldn't affect my finances too much, and everyone else is calling me selfish and saying that I'm taking advantage of my sister when she's struggling. Not the idiot. Your sister is taking advantage of you. You are doing her a favor. Just tell her to forget it and move back home. You can then get your life back. Just so that this does not get looked over, your sister tried 4 times, apparently without being married, to have a child. This means that she knew she was going to be a single parent. Therefore, it was her responsibility to provide for this child, not yours. She needs to get over herself and grow up before her baby does. Not the idiot. Move back home. It's unfair to have you raise a kid that isn't yours and pay for bills, etc. She would be out of pocket either way, whether you live there or she has to get a babysitter. She also decided to move back out, so she needs to deal with the consequences. Agreed. Even if she changes her mind not to charge you rent, I still will move out since she has proven ungrateful and demanding. Save for yourself and your future family. Focus on yourself to succeed in future endeavors. Get sleep to recharge yourself for learning new things. Being a 24/7 unpaid babysitter is taking away from your ability to build new skills. Rid yourself of that soul suck. I, 46 male, have 2 kids. They are adopted and I love them very much. My wife passed away from cancer a few years ago. We have been trying to have a child, but no luck. The kids are very well behaved and are doing great. My parents have been great to them as well since my wife died. The only one who seems to have an issue is my sister, 44. She has 3 kids with her husband. When my wife and I were struggling with pregnancy, we told the entire family we were adopting. Everyone was very supportive except my sister. She approached us and asked if we considered every option. The answer was yes. When the kids were young, they wanted to play with their niece and nephews at a party. Everything was going fine until my sister came marching up and said, "I don't want my kids playing with those outsiders." I was beyond angry and left with my wife and kids. I send my niece and nephew cards on their birthdays and major holidays. My sister does not do it for my kids. We have not spoken since the party. My daughter's birthday is coming up, and I invited most of the family. My sister apologized for her behavior in the family group chat and wanted to move past it and be a family again. I texted my sister back, saying that we could have if she didn't send the text in the group chat. She replied saying the apology should be enough and to accept it. I stopped answering her, and some of my family thought I should move past what happened. Am I the idiot for refusing to accept her apology? Your sister needs to express actual remorse and/or acknowledgement that she won't do such a horrid thing again. Better yet, she should show interest in getting to know your kids. Don't move forward without anything resembling actual responsibility of her actions and acknowledging that her actions hurt your kids. Otherwise, you are failing your kids. My toxic aunt did exactly the same kind of nonsense to me when I was a child, and it deeply affected my sense of self and belonging and made me doubt my place in my adoptive family. So cut your sister off for the good of your kids, please. Yeah, OP, ask the rest of the family if they're going to pay for therapy for your children after their aunt continues to traumatize them the same way she did when they were younger. Everyone likes to be all, "Oh, forgive them," to make their lives easier, without actually considering how the victims feel in these situations.